Hi everyone, my name is Patty and I'm an environmental educator at the Schuylkill Center for Environmental Education. Today I'm going to be showing you how to press and preserve some of those beautiful spring flowers you've been enjoying. And at the end I'll show you real quick how to turn them into these fun little bookmarks. So let's head inside and get started. Here's what you're going to need to get started. There are two methods I'm going to talk about for pressing flowers at home, and the first one is using books. This is a little bit more of a traditional method, and it uses the weight of the books, the pressure of the pages, and time to do the preservation of your plants. All right, let's get started. So first what you want to do is open up your book to the page where you're going to be pressing the plant. And I like to put the cloth piece down first. This is going to help absorb a little bit more of the moisture, and that's key to preserving your plants. You want to get rid of as much moisture as possible. So if you have a cluster of flowers like this, you can do a few things. You might want to just snip off the actual head of the flower and leave the stem behind, or maybe you like the look of the bunched flower and you want to preserve it that way. This one I think I'm going to thin out just a little. I'll dry these two separately, but I kind of like the look of this triplet here. So I'm going to try to flatten those out as best I can. Now we all know flowers are delicate, so this is a little bit of an art, but basically you want to be able to get the flowers as flat as possible. Don't squish them because you'll lose some of the integrity of the flower. Let's snip this one a little bit more. But once you have them pretty well in place, gently place the parchment over. I like to almost roll it over, and that helps me to make sure everything stays in place as I want it to. So very carefully, I'm going to close the book. And once I have the book closed, I want to weigh it down. So I'm going to add a big old book for good measure. And now we wait. Some experts say 2 weeks is a good amount to wait, but I lost patience and dried some of mine for just 1 week. So let me show an example. Voila! Here's 1 week of dried fleabane. So now we have our pressed flowers ready to go, and there's a number of projects we could do from here. But something fun I like to do, especially with my kids, is to make fun little bookmarks like this. So the rest of the tutorial is going to show you how to do this, but again, you can go look up any number of projects to do, anything from a sun catcher to putting them around a mason jar, all sorts of clever ideas. You can even just put them in a journal. If you're keeping a journal this time of year in this season, you might want to put them in there just as a little memory of the times, what it was like to be quarantined during spring. So here we go. So if you're pressed for time and you're looking for something that will go a little bit more quickly, you do have another option, and that is the iron. Now this is how the iron method works. Same basic materials, except trade out the books for an iron. So again, I have my fleabane, and this time I added some fern. So you're again gonna wanna carefully press down whatever you want the final product to look like. It needs to be in that position now. So I'm gonna try to face this one down, and the fern's pretty flat on its own, so I'm not too worried about that one. Carefully fold over the cloth. Now you can use a cloth, again, cheesecloth, paper towel, paper, whatever you have, whatever you like. And then set to a medium-low heat. You're going to alternate pressing down stationary for 15 seconds and then taking it off for 15 seconds. Now this second 15 seconds is going to give it a break to both cool and dry, because again, drying is important for the preservation of the flowers. And so you're just going to alternate this a few times until you feel like your flowers are dry. Unfortunately, this varies a lot depending on your flower. If you have something more hardy like a rose, that might take more presses, but something like the fern is just not going to take that long. So my general thought is that there are probably some plants that do well with the iron method and some that probably should just stick to the traditional method of pressing. But you've got two options. Try them both. Let me know how it goes. Now that your flowers are pressed, I'm going to show you in just a few quick steps how to turn your flowers into bookmarks. First, you need to settle on the type of paper you want to use. I've decided just to use the simple blue because I think that'll let my flowers really shine through. And then you get to get creative. I broke this flower apart a little bit. You can use your scissors to trim certain pieces if you like something. I liked these together, but they were too wide for my bookmark, so I had to break them apart. I think I might do the same with this one. So have some fun with it. Maybe you can play around with different colors or even try it on a few different backgrounds. I do like to do the book pages. I think it's really neat when you can see the text through the back. Plus it's a bookmark, so it's a nice nod to the pastime. But I think I'm just gonna keep this one simple and we'll stick with that. I'll add just a little bit more greenery to this corner. Voila. All right. Now, all we're going to do is lay a piece of tape on top, but don't be fooled, it's a little bit harder than it sounds. So first, I'm gonna tear a piece a little bit longer than the length of my bookmark. Now what I want to do is carefully lay it starting at one end and slowly guide my finger along so that I don't get any air bubbles trapped in there. The other thing we might come across is that the tape will often attract the flower off the paper and kind of lift it up. We don't want that to happen. So one way to sort of limit that is to pull your tape back if you can. And then I'm gonna start lining my tape up with the edge of my bookmark, which of my paper, and then really slowly press it down. So you can see it's not totally perfect. I have a little bit of extra space over here without tape on it. And that's fine. If that bothers me, I can come across and do a second piece of tape and that will shore that up nicely. But before I do that, what I want to do is kind of press my fingernail along the edges. I want to push out any bubbles I might have, make sure the seal is really close, especially around the stem or any place that's a little bit bulky. We want it to lay nice and flat. And then you can just trim off any excess or you can even fold it behind. If you wanted to add an extra little bit of flair to your bookmark, you could add a hole punch at the top and maybe thread some ribbon through. But this is pretty much it. I'm gonna trim up this little bit of tape and then it will be ready to go to save my spot in that next good read. And there you have it. I hope you're happy with how your project turned out. Don't forget to tune in next week for more nature-inspired craft videos. Thanks so much. See you later.